Let's bring in White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki right now. Jen, thank you for joining us this morning. I want to begin with that announcement we just heard. Good morning. We just heard out of Russia, Vladimir Putin putting his nuclear forces on a state of higher readiness. What will the U.S. response be?
Well, first of all, George, this is really a pattern that we've seen from President Putin through the course of this conflict, which is manufacturing threats that don't exist in order to justify further aggression. And the global community and the American people should look at it through that prism. We've seen him do this time and time again. At no point has Russia been under threat from NATO, has Russia been under threat from Ukraine. This is all a pattern from President Putin, and we're going to stand up for it. We have the ability to defend ourselves, but we also need to call out what we're seeing here from President Putin.
You just heard Ambassador Markarova speak. She said she's very grateful. The Ukrainians are very grateful for the assistance they've received so far from the United States, from the West. They're grateful for the imposition of sanctions, but they need more sanctions and more military aid. Is that coming?
Certainly, we are open to providing additional assistance, George. I know that earlier in the program, you talked a bit about the security package that we approved and announced over the course of the last 24 hours. That provides a significant amount of additional security assistance to the Ukrainian people, to the Ukrainian leadership. In addition, we'll continue to provide a range of humanitarian assistance and economic assistance. I would note that the sanctions that we announced yesterday are on par, put Russia on par with Iran, cutting them off from a banking system with the global community. We have now also sanctioned 80% of their banks and their financial sector. This makes it very difficult for President Putin and the Russian government not only to do business, but also to help fund a greater expansion of their military and greater expansion of innovation in their country. So we have taken severe steps already, but of course there's more we can always consider doing.
Senator Tom Cotton is coming up on the program next. He says the United States should be doing more to crack down on the Russian energy sector. Here's what he had to say.
How about we impose those sanctions, but we lift all those restrictions on the production of American oil and gas so we can start drilling on federal lands again and putting out new leases, so we can reopen the Keystone Pipeline, which would bring more oil into America every day from Canada than we import every day from Russia.
President open to those proposals?
Well, first, George, I think on the energy sector, the way that President Biden has approached sanctions is we want to take every step to maximize the impact and the consequences on President Putin while minimizing the impact on the American people and the global community. And so energy sanctions are certainly on the table. We have not taken those off, but we also want to do that and make sure we're minimizing the impact on the global marketplace and do it in a united way. I would say that the congressman's recommendations there, the Keystone Pipeline was not processing oil through the system. That does not solve any problems. That's a misdiagnosis or maybe a misdiagnosis of what needs to happen. I would also note that on oil leases, what this actually justifies in President Biden's view is the fact that we need to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, on oil in general, and we need to look at other ways of having energy in our country and others. One of the interesting things, George, we've seen over the last week or so is that a number of European countries are recognizing they need to reduce their own reliance on Russian oil. So I'm not sure we agree with that assessment of what needs to happen, but energy sanctions remain on the table.
I know the president has spoken to President Zelensky. Is he confident he's safe?
He has been in close touch. Well, not getting into his security, the security of President Zelensky. I'm just going to note, George, as the American people have seen and tuned into, he is standing up courageously against the invasion of President Putin and Russian leadership, leading his country and continuing to. When President Biden spoke with him, the last conversation he had with him, President Zelensky asked for additional security assistance. That's exactly what we delivered, and we will remain in close contact with him. But President Biden is maintaining, a line of communication with him, as we all are.
There are more and more questions cropping up about the mental state of Vladimir Putin right now. We saw the former U.S. Ambassador Michael McFaul say he's not acting in a rational manner. I want to show a tweet we got from Marco Rubio this week saying, I wish I could share more, but for now I can say it's pretty obvious to many that something is off with Putin. He has always been a killer, but his problem now is different and significant. It would be a mistake to assume Putin would react the same way he would have 5 years ago. Is it the belief of the United States government right now that Vladimir Putin is mentally unbalanced in some way?
Well, without getting into his mental imbalance or stability, what I will say, George, is anyone who watched the speech he gave last week, whether it's Senator Rubio or all of us sitting in the White House, what we heard from President Putin at that time was somebody who was not only justifying the invasion of a sovereign country, but clearly had ambitions beyond that. And one of the mistakes we probably all make is looking at this through the prism of global norms and what the global community believes is behavior that people should operate through as leaders in the world. That is not how he sees the world. He's obviously been quite isolated during COVID. You saw him have a back and forth with even his intel chief last week. So I'm not going to make an assessment of his mental stability, but I will tell you certainly the rhetoric, the actions, the justification that he's making for his actions are certainly deeply concerning to us.
Finally, the president is approaching his State of the Union in a pretty difficult political position right now. 37% approval rating. Democrats trailing badly in the midterm polling. A majority in our recent poll out this morning even questioned the president's mental capacity. How is he going to turn that around on Tuesday night? And how much has his State of the Union been changed by this war in Ukraine?
Well, George, I think there's no question that in the State of the Union, the American people and anybody watching around the world will hear the president talk about the efforts he has led over the past several months to build a global coalition to fight against the autocracy and the efforts of President Putin to invade a foreign country. That is certainly something that is present in all of our lives and certainly in the president's life in this moment. But what people will also hear from President Biden is his optimism and his belief in the resilience of the American people and the strength of the American people. And you know, George, from covering State of the Unions for some time, that it is about delivering a message to the public at a moment in time. And if you look back when President Obama gave his first State of the Union, it was during the worst financial crisis in a generation. When President Bush gave his first State of the Union, it was shortly after 9/11. Leaders lead during crises. That's exactly what President Biden is doing. He'll speak to that, but he's also going to speak about his optimism about what's ahead and what we all have to look forward to.
Jen Psaki, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, George.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.